five-way farming for these characters in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Greetings and hello there, everyone. It's me, your ever-loving Star Wars dad, Nooch Too Good, right here in the middle. And I want to talk about this. I've kind of been mentioning a lot lately, the overlapping farms from Leia to Luke to Jabba to Executor to Profundity. These farms overlap in a pentagonal way that brings all of these farms together. If you farm one, you almost have to farm all of them. They almost all fall in line with each other. One leads to the other, leads to the other. The characters overlap, the requirements overlap. They just, Leia, Profundity, Luke, Jabba, Executor, so much overlapping with these farms. It just doesn't make sense. If you start one of them, it doesn't make sense to do a lot else unless the Lightspeed bundle comes along and you buy Rey and Kylo for free. Anyway, not free, you buy them for cheap, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna be farming anything in Galaxy of Heroes right now, I believe this little pentagon, this little pentagonal motion, whatever we got here, is the way to go. Farm these five guys, they all go together. But before we talk about that, and I'm going to give you a few different ways to look at all the overlap here, but before we do that, let's talk about the loners. Let's talk about all of the characters that are alone here, and do the liking and subscribing, like Cal Kestis Nooch down there, BD1 says like and subscribe, Nooch Too Good. There you go. So look, some of these farms have lone characters that don't overlap with any other farms, or don't overlap with these five farms. And in fact, I don't think they overlap anywhere. But for Jabba, you've got Chrysanthemum, you've got the Mob Enforcer, Gamorrean Guard, Fennec Shand, Skiff Guard Lando, Greedo, Aura Singh, Jawa, and those are your Jabba loners. We're calling them loners right now. The Leia loners are going to be Captain Rex. It's a little tricky in here. I'm kind of living, but hang on a second. I'll show you this. Captain Rex, Lobot, Captain Drogon, Captain NPC, I like to call him. I always say Biker Scout. Scout Trooper, but it's a Biker Scout Trooper, Akbar, and Princess Nisa, who is can maybe be involved with overlapping. I'm about to have my cake and eat it too. You'll see her in a minute. Nisa, she could be part of that, but we'll call her a loner because maybe, sort of, maybe not, maybe me, I don't know. Profundity loners, you've got Radish, you've got Cassian Andor and his U-Wing, you've got Jyn Erso, you've got Biston and his U-Wing, you've got Hera and her ghost, you got Dash Rendar, who kind of overlaps a little bit, but kind of not. His ship does for sure. And Biggs' X-Wing, that's what I put down there at the bottom. It only goes with Profundity. And then Jedi Master Luke, Jedi Training Rey, Hermit Yoda, Biggs, who also goes with Biggs' X-Wing for the Profundity, but Biggs is, Biggs and Wedge, kind of like, are they overlapped? Do they not overlap? Do they fit in there? Do they not fit in there? I don't know. It's kind of Wedge, Biggs, Princess Nisa. I'm calling them loners here, but then they maybe kind of fit into the overlap later. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a bit. Some of you already know what I'm talking about, but there is some overlap with Biggs and Wedge. So really the only pure Jedi Master Luke loners are Jedi Training Rey and Hermit Yoda. It's almost like if you farm any of these other characters, you have to farm Jedi Master Luke. He's so easy to get with everything that's together there. And finally, the Executor, you got Piet, you've got the TIE Fighter pilot, the TIE Bomber, the TIE Fighter, and the TIE Advance. I just want to say Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, but the TIE Advance. That's your loners. Those are the farms that just stand alone and don't overlap with anything for these five farms. These five farms with Luke, Leia, Jabba, Profundity, Executor. Now let's take a look at a little rudimentary map I put together here just to show Leia, Luke, Jedi Knight Luke in there as well, since he's with Jabba and he's kind of a mini Galactic Legend, sort of. The Profundity and the Executor, all of the characters and ships that are required for these, the bounty hunters, Biggs and Wedge, I mentioned earlier, R2, Boosh, Leia, Jedi Knight Luke, CLS, 3PO, Chewbacca. All these characters are going to overlap in multiple ways along this farming path. And yes, anything that's required for Jedi Knight Luke, because Jedi Knight Luke is required for two different for Jabba and Luke, that's going to be included in all these overlap as well. Now, let's take a look at something I put together here. I just started drawing some lines like a coach. Like, here's the coach. The coach comes out, and I'm showing you that, Boosh, Leia is connected with both Jabba and Leia. Han Solo is connected with Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. Also required for Princess Leia. That's kind of where the Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. But Princess Leia, Leia, we got we got more Leia. Then you go Jabba. But that's a huge mess. That's a huge mess. That's not the graphic I want you to walk. Let's try something a little bit easier here. Let's do some tables. Let's do some tables. So here's what we have here. Here's what we have here. We're going to start off with Darth Vader. Now, if you'll notice, I actually forgot Darth Vader on the previous map. I knew I was going to forget something. I was really freaking out the whole time. I'm going to forget something. I'm not going to remember. So I forgot Darth Vader on the previous map because he overlaps with, he's required for Jedi Knight Luke, and he's required for Executor. So because he's in there for Jedi Knight Luke, it's Jedi Master Luke and Jabba as well. So Darth Vader overlaps with 3 of these farms. Bosk, Boba Fett, IG-88, and Dengar, and their ships, not Dengar's ship, but you're gonna have, who's the extra ship? Bosk, Boba Fett, IG-88, and Cad Bane. I didn't even put Cad Bane in there, but you need to get Cad Bane with his ship. You don't have to relic him, but you do kind of have to relic him. I should have had Cad Bane in here too. That's a mistake. So now we're to the mistake. So Cad Bane, you don't have to relic to get Executor, but you should relic him to make that fleet work as well as possible. But they all overlap with the Millennium Falcon and I made that a little lighter. So when you look at the bounty hunters and their ships and you look at them, they're tied to Profundity. It's a little bit very light green in there, and I did that because it's like it is tied to Profundity. They are not required for Profundity, but they're required for the Millennium Falcon, and for the Profundity to work as intended, capital games, then you need the Millennium Falcon in your fleet. So that kind of puts the bounty hunters in as requirements in there for Profundity and their ships, even though they're not really a requirement, but you got to farm the Millennium Falcon anyway, so they just overlap there as well. Also, Boba Fett overlaps because you need him for Jabba the Hutt. Let's keep going there. Boushh Leia overlaps directly with Jabba and Leia Organa. Then you've got Chirpa and Wicket. I'm going to say that Chirpa and Wicket are required for C-3PO. You can do it without one or the other if you're going to relic up or really high gear your Ewoks, but generally speaking, most of us are doing Chirpa and Wicket 100% to get 3PO, and that's going to get us to Jedi Knight Luke, and that's going to get us to Jedi Master Luke, Jabba, and Leia Organa. Now, 3PO, I'm not sure actually now that I put that out. Oh, I'm sorry. Just the Ewoks are actually required for Leia Organa. See, I'm confusing myself. There's so much overlapping going on. It's hard to keep track of. But these 3 Ewoks are directly required for Leia Organa, while also being kind of indirectly required. Actually, no, I'll take it back. 3PO is required for both Jedi Master Luke and Jabba, and then third, Jedi Knight Luke. So you've got to have those Ewoks in there. And I put Anissa, again, very light green in there because I think a lot of people aren't farming her now as their 5th Ewok, but come down the road, when she gets the double drops, people are going to be farming Nissa as their 5th Ewok for sure, because she just makes that event a walkover from what I'm told. I just heard about it. So yeah, there you go. There's your overlap so far with Vader, bounty hunter ships, Boushh Leia, and the Ewoks. Let's take a look at some more. Han Solo required for Jabba and Jedi Master Luke, and also kind of like that soft requirement for Profundity because of Millennium Falcon. That's what he flies, the Millennium Falcon. Jedi Knight Luke, of course, required for Jabba and Jedi Master Luke. CLS required for all 3 Galactic Legends because you have to have CLS to get Jedi Knight Luke, so he's a requirement for all 3. 3PO required for Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. You don't need 3PO for Leia Organa, but you're going to get the Ewoks anyway, so you might as well get 3PO along the way so you get these other guys. It's just so much. It's so much. Chewbacca, of course, is required only for Jedi Master Luke officially. He's also going to be a soft requirement for the Profundity because, hey, again, you need the Millennium Falcon, and he pilots the Millennium Falcon. And another thing to note with Chewbacca, with CLS, 3PO, Chewbacca, Chewpio, and Han Solo, that's a 5-character team. That is an end game team. You gotta have that team on your roster. It is crushing everybody. So it's just they overlap in that way too. That's just a really, really, really important team to have on your roster. We look at Chewpio. That's 3PO and Chewbacca. required for Jedi Master Luke, required for Princess Leia. The Millennium Falcon there, I've only got the one little light green for Profundity because you've got to have it in that lineup for the lineup to work. But of course, as you're going along the way with everything else we've talked about, it overlaps. Just getting all those bounty hunter ships really overlaps directly with the Millennium Falcon. Rebel Officer Leia Organa and Captain Han Solo required for all three of these. They're directly required for Leia, and they are required for Jedi Knight Luke, who is required for Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. Lando's kind of special. He is actually directly required for Jedi Master Luke and Leia Organa and Jedi Knight Luke, like a direct requirement, and the Jedi Knight Luke is required for Jabba. So all three of those, Rolo, Cholo, and Lando. How do I find this? I don't know, man. I'm just really good at I'm here for you guys. You know, you're the best. I love you guys. Rolo, Cholo, Lando. Let's remember that trio for future purposes. R2D2. R2D2. Nah, it doesn't work. Rolo, Cholo, Lando, we're sticking with. R2D2 required directly for Jedi Master Luke and also for Leia Organa. One more table here. Guys, the overlap never stops. There's so much overlap in these farms. I just believe if you go get Jedi Knight Luke, you're farming all three of these guys. It's just how it is. And if you farm Leia, you're farming all. It's just how. And then you got to go get the ships too. The ships just everything fits in there. It's gonna make your roster great. It's gonna make your roster great. All right, Old Ben and Princess Leia required for CLS. And they're also directly required for Jedi Master Luke, so that means they're required for all three of these guys. There we got Biggs as a director. Biggs and Wedge are direct requirements for Jedi Master Luke, and their ships are no, the characters will be a soft requirement for Profundity because you have to have their ships for Profundity. So we're just going to say you got to have the characters too. Do you have to have them relic? I don't know about that, but you got to have them to get it done. And of course, Wedge's X-Wing is also required to get Jedi Knight Luke. And I just figured out a mistake I made. You know what? The Millennium Falcon, let's go back one. The Millennium Falcon is actually required to get Jedi Knight Luke, so you have to have it for Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. I knew I was going to miss stuff. There was no way I was going to go through this whole thing without miss. So there you go. There's more overlap. The Millennium Falcon is needed for Jedi Knight Luke, which means you need him from Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. Then we go over to Wedge's X-Wing. All right, we got the lag. I have, okay, there we go. Wedge's X-Wing is also required for Jedi Knight Luke, which means it's required. Oh, I messed that too. It's required for Jedi Master Luke and Jabba. So Wedge's X-Wing is actually required in 3 of these. Wedge's X-Wing is required in 3 of these. Jedi Master Luke, Jabba, and Profundity. I can't believe I messed this up. Sorry, guys. Mon Mothma required for Jedi Master Luke and Profundity. The Rebel Y-Wing, Jedi Master Luke, Profundity, and finally, the Outrider. This is where we get in that little Dash Rendar gray area, is required for Jabba the Hutt and for your Profundity. And that, boys and girls, is all of the overlapping required in these 5 farms. Jabba the Hutt, Jedi Master Luke, Galactic Legend Leia Organa, the Executor, and the Profundity. 5 farms that go together like Shama Lama Lama Ding Dong. These 5 farms are gonna make your roster great. Once you start on Jedi Knight Luke or Princess Leia, or excuse me, Leia Organa, you're just gonna farm all 5 of these together, and you're gonna come up with a great roster. It's gonna take you some time, you know, all together. If you put it all in, and if you farmed all this from scratch, it's probably a year and a half. It's probably 2 years of farming, just straight up. If you have some money, it'll cost you a little bit less, but you're gonna be buying some Lightspeed bundles along the way, so you'll be interrupting it with Kylo farms and Rey farms and whatever else comes along. So it's gonna be challenging to get all this farming in, but these 5 teams go, like Coach Nooch is here telling you, these 5 teams go together and there is no getting around it. There's barely a way to prevent the overlap of these 5 teams. That's what we got. Hey, have a great day. I appreciate all of you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Always remember, Nooch too good.